Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the new 4-2-3-1 tactics to show you guys for the post-patch gameplay. So, let's go ahead and get started. In regards to how I line up with the team in-game, it's the 4-2-3-1 narrow with the defensive tactics on balance 4 and 4, balance 4 and 5 for the attack. So, the reason why I have the defense set up the way that I do is because I want to block those narrow areas as much as possible with the CDMs that I have, because I know that the left mids and right mids will also try to transition on the inside sometimes when I need to defend those areas, right? Here's the thing with the 4-2-3-1 formation. Because by default, there's the left and right attacking mids coming back on defense, it is already a wide formation, right? So decreasing the width by 1 is not necessarily a big deal, but from time to time, you may notice the side becoming open depending on the left or right attacking mid that you have, right? And we're going to be talking about the instructions in regards to that too. We have the depth set to 4. Sometimes in game, I set it to 3, depending on the opponent that I'm playing against, because as you guys know, through balls are ridiculously overpowered. People do really random ones sometimes, and they actually go through. So for me to avoid it as much as possible, I do lower the depth a little bit with the width so that we can kind of compensate for those through balls going through. On the attack, we have balance set to 4 width. I like my players to be a little bit more narrow on the attack because, again, 4-2-3-1 narrow is somewhat of a wide formation by default because of where the left and right attacking mids kind of position themselves. I keep the players in the box set to 5 because it's very important to have the right types of players that utilize that attacking area as much as possible. You don't want to decrease this too much because there are moments where it's very, very helpful to have it on the default, right? I like to use around the default tactics for most of the formations that I use because it plays the most natural that way, but you guys will see why in game. The way that we have this team set up is with Rashford as a striker, João Felix as the cam, Dembele off to the left, Ansu Fati off to the right with Herrera and David Beckham as the CDMs. Now, as you guys know, I like to use teams for fun, so I don't always have a full meta squad because, I like to have a little bit of meta with certain players, but some players are obviously not going to be a full meta capability. So with a team like this, for me personally, I think that Rashford and João Felix are perfect for those two general attacking areas. But for me personally, I'm not necessarily a huge fan meta-wise of Ousmane Dembele and Ansu Fati. Reason being for this is because Ousmane Dembele's stamina is low, so there's moments in game where he starts to become a little bit worse, and also not necessarily fond of his attacking AI on the sides in the left and right attacking mids position. It's very similar to Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati's attacking AI is very generic when he plays on the sides, in my opinion. And I think I actually said the same thing on his review when it was the Player of the Month version. But it's what I have to work with, and it's not necessarily terrible by any means, but I'm just looking at it from every single angle in game because it's very important to have good defensive and attacking AI in every single area of the pitch, right? Players that you want to use in a 4-2-3-1 system is players like Alessandrini, right? If you can use that Alessandrini in that right attacking mid position, players like Mohamed Salah, Mbappe on the sides, those cards will perform really well for you because their attacking AI is brilliant. They're a combination of running in a straight line and also cutting inside. Ansu Fati, his attacking AI is very generic. Sometimes he always runs in a straight line, but then you may sometimes find him cutting inside as well, right? So those types of players that you have in your team are very important because as you guys can see, I have João Felix playing in my cam position. If you guys watch the review, this is not a card that I personally like to use in the striker position. I didn't even bother using him there because of how good this card plays in the cam spot. This guy is a super aggressive runner, right? Aggressive runner with great dribbling, shooting, passing, and pace capabilities. That's the types of players you want to have playing in that cam position. I think I reviewed a Team of the Group Stage Messi card, and even with his medium-low work rates, the way that this card was pushing to the sides and attacking the space was absolutely brilliant. And João Felix is no different. So that's why it's very important to get the right, left, and right attacking mids that consistently cut inside because João Felix, being the aggressive oriented player, will push to the sides. So when they push to the sides, you want your players like Ousmane Dembele and Ansu Fati to consistently cut inside in those areas to open up the space. They will do it sometimes for you, but it's how fast they do it that makes the difference because when you're playing the game, wasting time, even if it's 1 second or half a second, it takes too long for you to be able to score those goal scoring opportunities. So it's very, very important to get players that have really good attacking AI in those positions. Like I said, they're not terrible. They actually score some goals for me during these highlights. It's just for the full meta capability, right? Another thing that you guys have to take into consideration with this formation is actually the CDM position. This year, it's actually really ideal to have both of your players on high work rates that can equally attack and defend. Because the reason being for this is when you're building up the play in the middle position and one of the center defensive mids actually push out a position, what they will do is they will attack empty space through the middle whenever they see it, right? So you'll actually see some goals that I actually score in these highlights where someone like David Beckham, I'll switch him off of the stay back while attacking in-game tactic, and I'll leave him on balance for him to be able to utilize that empty space really quickly. And you guys will be able to see it from one of the goal scoring opportunities that we do get here. There's actually moments when you're playing against someone where if you have two high work rate players that are good at attacking and defending, it's actually very ideal to leave them both on balance instructions when it comes to whether or not you want them to attack or to stay back while attacking. I like to keep them on balance when it's high. When it comes to Hector Herrera and David Beckham, they're pretty good. They're not bad. I like to use them for fun, but defensively, Herrera's more there than David Beckham. David Beckham's defensively is kind of like more like I have to do a little better manually to be able to defend the opportunities because of how they cut passing lanes, how they stay on the edge of the 18-yard box, and all of that fun stuff, right? So it's very important to get players like Renato Sanchez, Bruno Fernandes, those high, good at attacking and defensive types of players that can do that for you. Because if you actually give Bruno Fernandes' Player of the Month card a shadow chemistry style right now, if you guys watched the review, I mentioned how he's one of those players you can rotate into any position and be able to attack and defend with him really well. So those are the types of players you want to have in these areas. The instructions that we have set for this team is going to be on stay back while attacking, overlap for the fullbacks. We have cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, and cover center for the CDMs, depending on the situation and game. Like I said, sometimes I'll just do this, keep one on balance, keep the other one on stay back while attacking, and then attack with this one player. If I feel like I can have that extra attacking presence with both of the CDMs, then I'll also put them both on balance instructions, but keep them on cut pass lanes and cover center instructions. And then the three cams are all on comeback and defense with the striker as well. And then in-game, I actually have the D-pad tactic of telling my striker to come back in the defense as well, because when I build up the play from the defensive area, because of their really good attacking AI, I feel like I can utilize space really nicely in that middle position. Because here's what happens, right? Because João Felix's attacking AI is really good, if I push Rashford in the defensive area, João Felix is actually going to go into that striker position. So there's a huge little rotation thing that they have going on every time they play with each other in game. So again, guys, the types of players that you have in this formation is really going to matter. For my defense, the only thing that's off, honestly, is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, mostly for dribbling and passing capabilities. Sometimes his passes are a little bit off in certain situations, but defensively, he has one of the best tackles in the game, which is why he actually works out so nicely on 7 chemistry playing in that center back position. But the rest of the team, Koundé, Gomez, Mendy, they're meta-oriented cards. I have zero problem with them, to be honest with you. But obviously, some players in this game, meta-wise, you will have a problem with from time to time, but they're still very, very fun to use. So these are the tactics you guys want to use. Those are the types of players that you guys want to use. You guys are going to see these highlights right now that we are going to be breaking down my thought process in regards to how I wanted to score those opportunities. Don't get me wrong, guys. The type of gameplay that you guys are going to play is going to affect your performance. If your gameplay feels slow and sluggish, like some of these goals you'll see are, it's going to affect the types of passes you want to make because you know that dribbling is going to be done a certain way and whatnot. So, yeah, let's get into the highlights and look at what we did to score the opportunities. All right, guys, so let's get started with the highlights and how you want to attack with this formation. So generally speaking, what you have to look for with a formation like this is your left and right attacking mids cutting inside, right? So with Ansu Fati and Dembele, they do it sometimes. They just don't always consistently do it, right? And consistency is very important when building up your play. So why do you want your players to cut inside from time to time? The simple answer to that is when your striker moves to the side positions, right? Like someone like Rashford always moves to the side and goes back into the middle. You want your left and right attacking mid AI to understand, hey, I need to utilize that middle position as much as possible because I have the fullback on overlap. Even though he's on stay back while attacking, he will utilize that empty space at the top when given the opportunity to, right? So that is very important for the left and right attacking mid. The other very important thing is working with really good attacking AI through your cam and striker. That's why it's very important to have meta-oriented players in those positions, because what your striker does for the left and right attacking mids in regards to opening up space, he also does for the cam if the cam could be very aggressive pushing forward in the attack, right? So for me personally, as you guys know, I don't recommend using Joao Felix as a striker, right? I think in the cam position, he's too good there for you to use in the striker position. So here's what happens, right? If your striker likes to drift out wide and then cut back inside, the moment they drift out wide, your cam will make those attacking AI runs through the middle for you to score your opportunities, right? So you can either do that, or you can wait for the attacking AI of your striker to go back into the middle and make that angled run for you to score that opportunity. And you guys will notice that a lot through these highlights of my Rashford kind of going to the side, understand that his attacking positioning isn't necessarily the greatest, and then he starts to angle himself and then go for those runs again, right? So that's why I kept mentioning in some of the player reviews that Marcus Rashford is one of the more meta-oriented players in the game, because attacking AI is brilliant and he understands how he needs to move across the pitch, right? So in a situation like this, you can see that Rashford actually starts to move to the side positions. Over here, we start to work with the cam and build up the play a little bit slowly. The middle opens up. Stay back while attacking on David Beckham is no longer the instruction on this card. Don't get me wrong, sometimes they will still do that attacking AI run, especially if they're on high work rates. But in a situation like this, at some point in the game, I switched him off of it for me to be able to utilize that extra attacking space that I have to work with through the middle, right? And if you guys saw the review for this special David Beckham card, I mentioned how he is actually an aggressive attacker. So if you use him in the center mid position or the CDM position on your balance instructions, he will utilize space really nicely in those areas, regardless of the pace that the card actually has. So it's always situational in game in regards to switching that tactic off. But again, it's what you have to work with in your main teams that you have to worry about the most, right? So, you know, in a build-up opportunity like that before, you can see that once I overcommitted with Rashford into his 18-yard box, that cut inside run that Dembele does right there is what I always look for when I'm attacking certain space. A good skill move to use when players are actually doing that is actually the fake shot stop, but you have to hold R1 in certain directions for your player to already be positioned to make a really good run, right? But a lot of the examples that you guys will see here is a lot of attacking AI runs oriented around Rashford and Joao Felix always switching between each other, going at an angle, then the other person makes that run. Again, that's what you want to work with the most when using a formation like this, right? So depending on the situation in game, guys, like I said, you want to have your left and right attacking mids to do that consistently. These are the goal scoring opportunities that you want to work for. You can see that Joao Felix pushes to the side. The left and right attacking mids need to be fast enough to always consistently cut inside. Like I said, guys, it's not that Ansu Fati and Dembele don't do it, okay? That's not the case. It's just that they don't do it consistently enough. Like when I use Ansu Fati in my teams, I always mostly like using him in the left wing, left mid position, or even the striker position as well. His attacking AI is significantly better there. But playing through the side positions, left and right attacking mids, for me personally, it just didn't do it for me on a consistent basis, right? So they will do it, and some other players will do it too, but it's just being able to do it constantly that you have to look for the most when it comes to using these players in your team. But that's pretty much it for the review, guys, on the 4-2-3-1 and what I've been using. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.